So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. So guys, we've just seen Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola. I don't know what you guys make of Andy Ruiz yesterday. I don't know what you made of that performance, but Ruiz was wobbled many times in that fight. I thought he won the fight. I thought, he outpointed Arreola, but it was far from an impressive performance. It was a wild fight. Both were trading up. I thought I would see a more controlled performance from Ruiz, but unfortunately we didn't get it, and it was quite wild, and at times you thought that Arreola had him going. A lot of people rate Andy Ruiz very highly. They think he's one of the best heavyweights out there. I do think he's a good heavyweight, don't get me wrong, but I think he's a little overrated to the way certain people rate him. I don't think he's as good as what people made him out. I think that AJ fight was one of those fights where he caught AJ. AJ wasn't able to recover. AJ probably underestimated Ruiz, and Ruiz jumped on AJ and got the job done. You have to give him credit where it's due. He performed well that particular night. But I think in the rematch we saw AJ adopted a style which Andy Ruiz couldn't get near him. AJ stayed on the outside and Ruiz was just too slow. We saw that Andy Ruiz got with Canelo's trainer Eddie Reynoso, and they've been working hard in the gym, and Andy Ruiz has lost a lot of weight. He shed a lot of weight. They were saying, I think, at 27 pounds or something from the second AJ fight, which is a lot of weight to shed. And to be honest, I don't know whether that's had a massive impact on his punch resistance, because his punch resistance didn't look good in there. He's getting wobbled quite a bit by Arreola. And let's not forget, this is a guy that fought AJ, and AJ is a lot more powerful than Arreola, and he was taking AJ's right hands. He was eating them, to be honest. He was taking them pretty comfortably, to be honest. And he didn't look in trouble at all. And Ruiz is a guy that always comes in heavy. He's a very heavy guy. And he's got used to fighting at that kind of weight. Now, a lot of people thought that with him being lighter, he'd be a lot better. I thought his hands were fast. I think they were probably a little faster. But his punch resistance didn't look the same. He definitely looked a lot more vulnerable. He got knocked down, and then he was hurt several times after that by Arreola. And Arreola's a decent fighter, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people were saying he's 40, and I personally thought that Arreola's taken a lot of punishment in his career, and the fight's quite dangerous for him. And I actually thought Ruiz would get him out of there. But Arreola put up a very, very good fight, and Arreola won. He won some rounds, won quite a few rounds. I know Arreola was unhappy at the end, and rightfully so, because I don't think the judges gave him credit for what he did in there. Did Andy Ruiz win the fight? Absolutely. But was it an impressive performance? Far from it. That was not a good performance by Andy Ruiz. And Eddie Reynoso, after the fight, said that Wilder's a very dangerous fight. A very, very dangerous fight. And on that performance, Wilder knocks Andy Ruiz out, because Andy Ruiz hasn't got great head movement. He gets hit a lot. His defense isn't that great. And Wilder will catch him with that right hand. And going off the basis what we saw yesterday, if Arreola's wobbling you like that, then Wilder's going to knock you cold. Really, let's be honest, Wilder's going to hurt you. I don't know. I think with Andy Ruiz, it's a bit of a tricky situation for the training team, because do you get him to come in heavy, right, against Deontay Wilder? If that fight, it looks like they are talking about that fight. Do you get him to come in heavy against someone like Deontay Wilder? Because Wilder hasn't got the boxing skills of an Anthony Joshua. He's not going to be able to box and move for 12 rounds like AJ was and be that disciplined. Wilder hasn't got that kind of boxing skill. Wilder, however, has got a really big right hand, and that big right hand's going to land. If your punch resistance is iffy and you're looking vulnerable against Arreola, the chances are Wilder's going to knock you out. So if Ruiz comes in at the weight he came in against Arreola, I fancy Wilder by knockout. I fancy Wilder by knockout anyway. I just think that Wilder hits too hard and Ruiz is too static. And I'm of the belief that anybody that Wilder tags with that right hand flush, they're going to sleep. I don't care how good your chin is. I don't care how granite your chin is. You're going to get knocked out. If Arreola is able to wobble Ruiz, knock him down, then Deontay Wilder's going to land that right hand, and that right hand's going to do a lot of damage, because Wilder's right hand is explosive. So, to be honest with you, I think the performance was very iffy from Ruiz. It was a wild fight. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you were expecting a much, much better performance from Andy Ruiz. I don't think you were expecting Arreola to hear the final bell, because I wasn't. And I know a lot of people thought that, you know, I did a live stream with somebody, and they were saying that they think Arreola is going to get wiped out in 2 rounds. They were going to get wiped. He's going to get wiped out in 2 rounds, and that didn't happen. Far from it. You know, Ruiz was probably hurt more than Arreola in that fight. He was wobbled in that fight. You know, Arreola, we all know, has got a great chin. He takes a shot. He's got a granite chin. But Ruiz was also somebody that I thought had a granite chin. But in that fight, he looked very vulnerable. He looked very susceptible to being hurt. And against Deontay Wilder, you know, Deontay Wilder's got an explosive right hand. And to me, that's going to land and hurt Ruiz. I would favor Wilder by knockout, and I've always favored Wilder by knockout in that fight. I know many people think that Ruiz destroys Wilder and he's the best out after Fury and Joshua. I totally disagree. I've always felt Wilder would beat Ruiz. I've always felt Wilder is within that mix, Joshua and Fury. He's within that mix without question. I know Eddie Hearn's been saying that, oh yeah, Ruiz knocks Wilder out, he destroys Wilder. Not a chance. He's only saying that because he dismantled Anthony Joshua in that first fight. He's trying to make that loss not look as bad. There's no way Andy Ruiz would destroy Deontay Wilder. I don't think so. He's got fast hands, yes, and he could give Wilder trouble. I don't think he's the most powerful guy, to be honest. I don't think he's a huge puncher. Ruiz, he's fast, don't get me wrong. He's got great combination. He's got great speed. Combination puncher, yes, he's got speed. But he's not the most powerful guy. He hurt AJ, but AJ's been hurt many times. You know, so it's not like hurting AJ, like, oh, that's why he's not a big puncher. We saw in the Ortiz fight and the Fury fight, Wilder's got a decent chin. And most importantly, Wilder hits you with that right hand, you're gonna go sleep. And if you're getting hurt against Arreola, right, then what are the chances if Wilder hits you flush with that right hand, you're gonna survive it? I just don't see him beating Wilder. I just think his style is tailor-made for Deontay Wilder. And if he comes in light, like he did against Arreola, then I feel like it's gonna be a short night, because as soon as Wilder hits him, I think Ruiz is gonna get hurt and get knocked out. He's gonna get knocked out. I don't think he lasts the distance with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder hits too hard. And Ruiz is tailor-made for Wilder. He's static. He's slow on his feet. He's not got great head movement. Defense isn't that great. Wilder will, for me, tee him up for that right hand. And when that right hand lands, like I said, I don't care who you are, don't care what you think of the fighter's chin, right? If Wilder lands, for me, it's game over. And I believe Wilder will land on Ruiz, because I think Ruiz, like I said, he's tailor-made for him. Ruiz would have to back Wilder up. He'd have to walk Wilder down. If he gives Wilder space, right? If he gives Wilder space, or Wilder's on the front foot in that fight, then it's going to be a short night. He'd have to literally back Wilder up all fight. And remember, Ruiz isn't Fury. Ruiz isn't as tall as Fury. Wilder will be punching down at Ruiz. So even though Ruiz is coming forward, it's still very dangerous, because Ruiz hasn't got the height that Fury had. Wilder will be punching down on Ruiz. So Ruiz will be coming forward, but Wilder will be punching down. So to be honest with you, I favor Wilder heavily in that fight, and not because of going off performance yesterday. I just genuinely feel that he would beat Ruiz anyway, because I think his style is tailor-made. Now, there may be some of you that disagree with me, but on that performance, do you really think if Deontay Wilder catches Ruiz, which he will, let's be honest, the only guy that Wilder's struggled to land that big right hand on is Tyson Fury, and we all know Tyson Fury is very elusive. He's very fast on his feet. He's got great head movement. He's got great body movement. Ruiz hasn't got any of that. Ruiz hasn't got any of that. So if you're judging Wilder's performance against Tyson Fury, and you think that's going to be the same outcome against Ruiz, it's a completely different style. Ruiz is a completely different fighter to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is very, very elusive, very hard to hit. Ruiz isn't hard to hit. Ruiz is the type of fighter, he takes one to give one. And against Wilder, you can't have that type of style. You know, Wilder was struggling to land on Fury. I just don't see him not struggling to land on Ruiz. And when you look at the fact that Wilder's taller, he's got the longer reach. Even if Ruiz walks Wilder down, there's a great chance that Wilder will knock him out because he's a smaller guy. He's punching down. When you're punching down, you're going to get more power. It's a lot harder to punch up than punch down, right? So personally, I personally think Deontay Wilder knocks Andy Ruiz out. And that's no disrespect to Ruiz. I like Ruiz. I think he's a great guy. But I just think that weight loss, and 27 pounds is a lot of weight. I think that's affected his punch resistance. So now they're gonna have to make a decision. What do they do? I think if he wants to stand a better chance against Wilder, he's gonna have to come in heavy. I personally think, because even against AJ in the second fight, or AJ in the first fight, right? He was heavy, but he still was fairly fast. And Wilder doesn't have the boxing skill of AJ. So for me, in a Wilder fight, Andy Ruiz's punch resistance has to be on point, because if his punch resistance what it was last night, Wilder knocks him out. Wilder knocks him out. For me, knocks him out cold. Because if you're getting knocked down to areola, then there's a great chance that Wilder takes you out. So I've always thought Wilder beats Ruiz. Like I wasn't on the Ruiz hype train when he beat AJ, and thinking that he's the next big thing. And I think Ruiz is good, and I think he's a contender, and I think he's amongst all the other heavyweights. I don't think he's one of the best heavyweights. Like, it depends. Like, yeah, is he top 10? Yeah. Is he a top 5? Questionable, in my opinion. Questionable. I do think there's guys out there that can beat him. I think Joe Joyce would have a great chance of beating him. I think Dillian Whyte would have a great chance of beating him. I think Luis Ortiz would have a great chance of beating him. I think Deontay Wilder I would pick to beat him. AJ's already beat him. I know AJ lost the first fight, and I think Tyson Fury would beat him. I even think Usyk would beat Andy Ruiz. I think Usyk beats Ruiz. So I think Usyk would outbox Ruiz without question. Outbox Ruiz. And so I think there's many guys out there. I think Ruiz has been put on a pedestal after the AJ fight. I think he's good, but he's not as good as how people are starting to rate him, you know. And I think that yesterday's fight showed that really. I think he's a good fighter, but I don't think he's way better than everybody like people are making him out. Let's not forget when he fought Parker, right? And Parker got a decision against Chisora yesterday, which was, you know, it could have gone either way, and we know what level Chisora's at. So, and Parker had Ruiz had a tough fight with Parker. So, to be honest with you, I think Ruiz is what it is. I don't think he's way better than any of the top 10 guys or top 15 guys, right? But I think he's the type of fighter that you'll be in a fight against. You can't take him lightly, because you're going to be in a fight with him. He's going to make it a tough night for you. But he's not way above any of the top 10 guys. No way. The way that Eddie Hearn and some of, you know, the fans were making out like Ruiz will destroy these guys, like destroy Wilder, destroy Parker, destroy, you know, White. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he's capable of beating those guys, but I think, you know, there's a great chance he gets beat. So to be honest with you, I'm not on that hype train as some people are. Ruiz is a good fighter, but that's where it ends for me. He's a good fighter. He's capable of making it a hard fight for any of the top guys. But I'm not saying he's better than most of the top 10 guys. No, absolutely not. I think there's many guys that can beat Andy Ruiz. Many guys that are out there that I think could beat Ruiz. I think he's been put on that pedestal. Listen, he deserves it. He beat Anthony Joshua. So he was a unified heavyweight champion. So that achievement surpasses most fighters in the top 10. That achievement alone surpasses most of the fighters, what most of the fighters have achieved in the top 10. So I can understand why people are so high on him, but I think we need to take a step back and see that, yeah, it was a good performance, and it was a performance of his career. He had a great night, but that doesn't mean he wipes out all the other top 10 heavyweights, or wipes out Wilder, or wipes out Usyk, and wipes out Dillian Whyte. No, not a chance. Not a chance. And all those names that I just mentioned there, I would actually pick to beat. Maybe Dillian Whyte 50-50, but Usyk and Wilder, I would favor them heavily against Ruiz. And even if you were to ask me right now on Dillian Whyte and Ruiz, I think it's a 50-50. I don't know. It could go either way, because Dillian Whyte's vulnerable as well, and Ruiz showed yesterday that he's vulnerable. So for me, I would like to see that fight. I would like to see that fight. I'd like to see Andy Ruiz with Deontay Wilder next. If they make it, I'd love that fight. Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you thought of Ruiz's performance. Do you think he was impressive? Were you impressed, or were you not that impressed? Do you think he beats Wilder, or do you think Wilder knocks him out? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.